If you walk into the Church of Scientology right now, they will most likely ask you if you want to take their free personality test. According to them, this is a great opportunity to learn more about you and figure out what you need to change about yourself.
Hello, would you like to take a personality test? It's fun and it's free.
Hey, you want a free personality test?
Personality test designed specifically to rope in new members.
It's called the Oxford Capacity Analysis.
I was like, alright, I guess I'll take a personality test. And she was like, oh, yeah, and by the way, it's $50.
The personality test is just a few questions to determine how you're being prevented from unlocking your true potential.
Oh, okay.
It was created by Julia Lewis, a psychology graduate who was commissioned by L. Ron Hubbard to create the test. She was also a Scientologist. It was originally called the American Personality Analysis, but it was later changed to the Oxford Capacity Analysis. It should be known that this has nothing to do with Oxford University. It's likely just a marketing technique to make it sound more credible. The test is made up of 200 questions.
Test. Do you make thoughtless remarks or accusations which you later regret?
Sure.
Okay, and finally, does life sometimes feel vague and confusing to you?
Yes.
Scientology use it to figure out a person's ruin. Your ruin is the thing that is bringing you down, holding you back in life, and Scientology can help you with that. Some of these questions focus on the traits of depression or anxiety, and others look at your potential as a loyal cult member. The test has been critiqued for being really invasive and deliberately confusing. The online version doesn't even show you what all the categories mean, so you're left wondering what your unacceptable traits are.
According to this, I am pretty fucked up.
What am I negative 97 on? Holy shit.
You've answered these questions. This is you. You answered the questions, we didn't. The communication course is $25. It's only a small course, takes 2 days. How do you want to pay? Credit card or cash?
In 1971, the British government commissioned an investigation into Scientology. As a part of the inquiry, several British psychologists took the OCA test in London and in Edinburgh. They found that even though they all answered the questions randomly, they all received low scores on the test. They concluded that this test was rigged to produce a negative result. They were also appalled by the follow-up evaluations that they were given after completing these tests. This is where all the flaws about their personality is presented back to them in the harshest possible light. They said, to report back a man's inadequacies to him in an automatic, impersonal fashion is unthinkable in responsible professional practice. To do so is potentially harmful. It's especially likely to be harmful to the nervous, introspective people who would be attracted by the leaflet for the test in the first place. I wanted to talk to someone who has worked in the orgs where they do these tests, so last week I sat down with Apostate Alex, the former Director of Public Book Sales for Church of Scientology London. Hello Alex, welcome to my channel. You are my first guest on this channel.
I feel privileged. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you so much for coming. When you joined Scientology, the personality test was your entry point. Did you do one? Did you do a free one when you started?
Yeah, absolutely. So personality tests are one of the most common ways of people starting in Scientology. It's used as an introductory technique. So you can do the personality test online, or you can do it in person. For me, I worked at the London Org. So we had two places, the Tottenham Court Road Centre and Queen Victoria Street, which is the main org. If you were to walk in and do a tour of the church, for example, at the Queen Victoria place, I would give them a tour and show them the public information centre and all the big TV screens and be like, hey, so this is what Scientology is about, and show them. Based on the interaction you're having with them, you would establish, okay, what do I do with this person? Do I either sell them a book, or do I do a personality test with them, which takes a little bit longer?
Yeah, I remember going there. The downstairs bit where we did it was like, it honestly looked like something straight out of the 60s, like dark wooden tables, like stuff on the walls.
Scientology is out of the 60s. All the interior design, that's all based on L. Ron Hubbard policy, so it is going to feel a bit like that. But yeah, the downstairs area is a testing area. So there was an area like that at the main org, but they converted it into the Celebrity Centre. But because Scientology is shrinking and there's much less people than they say there are, they never delivered courses at Tottenham Road when I was there. I believe they did expand and start doing that afterwards. But I believe it has now shrunk again, and they're no longer delivering courses again at Tottenham Court Road. So it's a bit of a harder sell because you'd sell them the course at Tottenham Court Road, and then you'd have to take them over to Queen Victoria Street, which is half an hour, 40 minutes away.
Some of these questions, right, on this test, it splits it up into these 10 categories, right? 10 categories of personality traits. And from what I can tell, when you're answering questions that are about emotions or reactions, the less emotional you react or answer that question, the higher you seem to score on the graph. So my question to you, Alex, is, do you have to be a psychopath to pass this test?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think you got to remember, in Scientology, the belief is that you have what's called a reactive mind, right? And the reactive mind is the part of your brain that causes all of the unwanted stuff that you don't want. So emotions and reactions. And it is taught in Dianetics that reactions and emotional responses are negative and they get in the way. So yeah, there are links to that in psychopathy, because ultimately they're trying to get you into a place where you don't think with emotions and you don't think with those in mind, and emotions are quashed down so far that you don't even recognize you have them, which can be linked to as a trait that is similar to that about the personality test.
Oh,
I assume that you're expected to do them more.
Did you hear that? My Siri just went mental.
Did it just pick up from me?
It's my first time using StreamYard. Okay, give me a break.
It's the body thetans.
I know, all these BTs in my computer. What's going on? Yeah, so the one you take if you're in the public is a free test. If you join as a member, do you ever take the personality test again?
This is one of the funniest things about the personality test, is that it was outwardly developed as a sales tool, not as a scientific measure of someone's personality. Scientologists know that it's used as a sales tool. However, it is given quite a bit of gravitas in Scientology. You are meant to complete one of these OCA tests, personality tests, after every major service completion in Scientology. It's a way of like seeing physically in a graphic format, like what's changed in your life.
When you remember, do you have to pay for them, or is it still free?
It's always free. Yeah, you can do it online if you wanted to.
Speaking of online personality tests, I have actually done one, Alex, and I thought we could take a little look at my ruin together. There we go. You should be able to see it. Jane Smith, that's me. I did put the address for Burger King into the actual test when they asked me for it. So
Brilliant.
They're going to have fun making them and telling them all about it. Now, you actually sent me this back photoshopped because it didn't have any of the labels on the top or the bottom here.
The reason they do that is because the idea when you do it online is they want you to go into the church to get the result. You see this graph and go, oh, well, there's obviously some low points there, because everyone knows what a graph looks like.
Look at this graph.
Now, when I was looking at this, they seem fairly like opposites, right? So you've got like stable, unstable, happy, depressed, blah, blah, blah. And then you've got like lack of accord versus appreciative. Now, can you explain to me what lack of accord is?
So, I mean, it's interesting. So if you're appreciative of something, you can appreciate the actually, let's look it up in the tech dictionary. That's probably the best way, isn't it?
Even when we went in to do our personality test for the series, once they got to lack of accord, your good friend Charlie was literally like, lack of accord is, you know...
Lack of accord's like...
It just made no sense. Like, you didn't actually explain it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So it's not in the tech dictionary. Like, because the whole thing doesn't actually mean anything. It's not like it's based on a policy that I could find. I talk about the critical thing, for example, the H trait, where it says, you know, you're quite low towards critical rather than correct estimation.
Yeah, I mean, that's what shows up. But again, Scientology can really do help you with help you come out of that. Now, you can be also a bit critical.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, you think it's constructive?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, because it shows on your graph that you kind of can lash out. It can be hard for people to be around you when you're feeling that way.
Oh. Well, like my friends and stuff? Oh.
Okay.
Let's say I've gone in and come to you with this test. What's the kind of spiel I'm going to get from you?
I've actually got the patter here that I can look at because it's been a long time. First thing it says is, now let's look at your personality. This is what you've told us about yourself. Understand this is not our opinion of you, but is a factual scientific analysis taken from your answers. It is your opinion of you. Right, so already they're lying to you because there's no science behind any of this, right? But it's interesting that it's putting it onto you. It's saying it is your opinion of you. Now, this section shows you that you are very much in need of help. So for the column G, for example, where you've got your, rather than being causative, you're irresponsible. You would go through and kind of describe that and get it to the point where you kind of go, yeah, that's right, I can agree with that. So what
kind of things would you say to get me to agree that I'm irresponsible, for example?
Yeah, imagine there's a time when, you see someone on the bus and they clearly don't know where they're going the wrong direction or something, and they just need a bit of help. But, you might be a bit tired or a bit irritated or something for some reason, and you just kind of let them do their own thing and find out for themselves, rather than go up to them, approach them and say, hey, you look lost, do you need some help? Right, that's the sort of thing they would say, because most people go, well, yeah, sometimes I wouldn't necessarily do that or whatever, and they'd get you to agree with it, and they would say, well, that is what being responsible is. And you would spend the majority of your time on these low points and get you to the point where you have agreed with it to some extent. I mean, I'll read you the policy here. It says, proceed with evaluation on the low points column by column. Make a decisive statement about each. If the subject agrees and says that's right, or that describes me all right, or similar, leave it immediately. You have impinged. If he argues or protests, don't insist. You simply are not talking on his reality level. Rephrase the statement until it is real to him, and stop as soon as you get through. As soon as you have an impingement, look the subject in the face and say with intention, Scientology can help you with that.
Scientology can help you with this.
How?
So they can, but let me continue. I'll tell you some more about your test.
Never say it half-heartedly or apologetically. Hammer it home and go, right, so if you're the sort of person where you're not taking full responsibility for everything in your environment, and you are thinking critically about things, and rather than assessing them for what they actually are, you could find yourself in a situation that doesn't look very positive for the rest of your life, right? Because you're not taking control and you're not responsible for your life. And if you're not responsible for your life, who knows what's going to happen?
Very dangerous, surely, if somebody's is struggling with mental health or depression or something like that, and then you tell them that their life is going to get much harder if they don't sign up. That seems so aggressive.
Exactly, and it literally the next line in the patter is, not a very bright prospect, is it? Unless you care to change it. At this point, the evaluator leans back in his chair, puts down his pencil on the chart, smiles, and says, well then, Mr. or Miss, whatever your name is, that's what your tests show. Thank you very much.
As it turns out, it is dangerous. A member of staff of the Church of Scientology started recording on their phone after becoming concerned about some of their selling techniques. The staff member had been told by another seller that if he couldn't get his client to pay, then he was to suggest to them that there was a high chance that he would unalive himself. He would make these suggestions by using the personality test results. The seller informs the body router that this has worked before, and somebody unalived themselves 1 week after taking the personality test. Here's the clip.
If he isn't able to pay $50, we'll handle that. Don't worry about it.
Really?
I recommend, it's $50 for the course.
Okay. Oh, okay, I got you.
You're not going to reg him.
Okay.
So you're going to go through the whole pattern.
Mm-hmm.
You just go through the whole thing.
Okay.
Bam, 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 bam. And then when you go, okay, good. So, instead, you know, we've looked at how you were in the past and how you are in present time. Let's look at your future. You know, if things continue to go the way they're going, you're going to be even more unstable, even more depressed, nervous. This is probably going to fall and you're going to become absolutely inactive. You're probably going to be aggressive. But honestly, being on the fact that your communication level, you're ultimately withdrawn, you're very active, you're very aggressive and you're pretty active, you most likely are going to commit suicide sometime soon. 100%. You notice that, like somebody who's super depressed, not stable, nervous.
I'm just going to say, harm yourself.
No. I mean, whatever. I'm just saying that's an example of something you could say, but you could say, well, quite honestly, like based on your graph, if you keep going the way you're going, it's not going to get better, it's going to get worse. And no matter what, it will get worse. Quite honestly, I've seen similar graphs in this one. And with this trait, this trait, this trait, and this trait, like, I give you a week. Tyler did that once to somebody, and within a week. And then the friend came back, was like, yeah.
Okay. Now, I've caught a bunch of shit for bringing him in here.
Who cares?
Now, the policy I read is if you can read, you're able. Is that correct?
The test of a reach is the ability to purchase a book.
Okay.
At this point, the evaluator leans back in his chair, puts down his pencil on the chart, smiles, and says, "Well then, Mr. or Miss, whatever your name is, that's what your tests show. Thank you very much." Literally, you leave it, you land it on their lap and go, "Well, look, it all looks a bit crap," and you know that's what your graph says. Thanks. The thing is, if you give them all of this information and say like it all looks doom and gloom and you have no prospect of hope in your life and that's what's going to happen to you and it's all really bad, thank you very much, it's not the end of the patter. If you have done a good job at delivering this patter, the person will sit there and think, well, that's rubbish, how do I change it, or how do I fix that, or I don't want that sort of life. It's meant to leave you in a point of going, that doesn't sound good at all, I don't want to live that life. There are many things you can do. There are all sorts of things that people go in for in the past. They've tried psychology, psychoanalysis, confidence courses, reading books, mental exercises, but these things have had a very limited application and you could find yourself terribly involved in mysteries, expenses, and wasted time before you find any solutions for your difficulties. All across our world today, people are coming to us to find simpler, more straightforward answers. L. Ron Hubbard is actually telling you to lie, right? This is a lie, and it says it right here in the script. Look, I'm technical staff here. I don't have anything to do with sales or courses, but if you'd like a confidential tip, there are all sorts of courses and services going on here all the time. But your best bet is to go and spend, and then the amount of the course, which would be like £39, on life improvement course and discover what Scientology can offer you. That will save you from getting involved. Go and see that person over there and tell them that you want this course so that you can find out what Scientology is about. And then it says you route the person over to the registrar, and that's the end of the patter. The only reason of doing the personality test is to sell more personal efficiency courses or life improvement courses. That's the reason they do it. I would be doing this, and I was director of public book sales was my job title.
I think that's crazy that they give it you in a script almost of what to say, how to lie, how to leave your person feeling at the end of it. Like, did you feel like that when you took this? Did you feel like I need to take this now? I need to get on course now?
I mean, for me, so the whole idea of this is to find someone's what's called a ruin, right? And the thing, like we said earlier, the thing that's ruining your life or the thing that you can improve most. I didn't really have a ruin. Like, there was never a point in Scientology where they sat me down and they were like, you know, the reason that you're feeling stressed or what's causing problems in your life is because you have, you know, trauma from your childhood or something, right? There was never like a thing that they uncovered with me. So I wasn't sat there thinking, God, this sounds awful. I, you know, need to do Scientology in order to, you know, save myself and save the planet. It was more like, you know, people have said a lot about Scientology and apparently it's you know, it can help you improve the good points that are on your graph. And why not? Like, what's the harm done in doing a course? If you're just doing one course, there's no harm done. And if you do find it kind of coercive or controlling or anything like that, you can leave and stop doing it. Like, you're the one in control. You try, but try and find out for yourself. That's the key line that is used in Scientology sales a lot, is, well, find out for yourself. Don't take what other people have said, you know, find out for yourself.
If I came in, did this test and was like, look, I really want to do the course, but I just don't have the money at the moment, what is the response to that?
You'd be okay, fine. Well, why not? What's stopping you? How come you don't have the money?
Okay, I've got £35 in my bank account. I don't have enough money in my bank account to pay for this course, but I would love to do it. 2 weeks.
Okay, well, why don't you just come back in 2 weeks when you've got the money and we can sort it out then? Why don't we start off with
to pay? You know, I've got to pay my rent and stuff. Like,
okay, so how about if you've got £35 now, the course is $39, you get paid in 2 weeks. Why don't you pay half now, £15, and then so it's easier on your schedule when you get paid in 2 weeks. So you do 15 now and do the rest when you get paid.
You're so good at that. It's honestly
if you give them some sort of issue as to why you can't pay them the money there and then, it's not because they want to take your money and go and use it for nefarious causes. They want to take your money because they want to get you on the course, because they think the course will help you. That's the next step that they would do. If you were still saying I don't have the money, they would then really impinge it on you, and they would go, well, look, what you're just telling me about your problems with your family or whatever it is that your ruin was, you know, is that not a problem that you want to fix? You can't afford to not do this. Money doesn't mean anything, right? Like, you just
really
you need to make the money and you'll just figure it out. So a few money problems here and there don't really have any significance. That's the mindset of a Scientologist. Actually, Scientology auditing and so on costs much less than it should, because of what you get for the audit. You know, by doing auditing and by doing Scientology, you are being helped on a spiritual level. It's a bargain, exactly. Like, that's the mindset.
If somebody watching this is curious about taking this personality test, what would be your advice to them on if they should do it or not?
I would research genuine personality tests that are actually science-based, and some people can find them useful. The Oxford Capacity Analysis, which is the Scientology's graph, doesn't have any scientific backing. It doesn't mean anything, and it only exists. It was developed as a sales tool. Obviously, you can do what you want. If you want to find out more about yourself, there's other ways of doing it that would be more effective. And cheaper.
Ask your friends; they'll tell you what you like. That's what I would say. Ask your mates what they think about you. It's a waste of 200 questions and a waste of 45 minutes, if you ask me. Alex, thank you so much for coming on the channel and talking to me about this. You got a lot of insight on this, which I really appreciate. So I will link your channel down somewhere, either on the screen or down below in the description. Go check Alex out. He makes really great videos about Scientology and talking to people who have left as well. So thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks for having me, Kelly.
End the recording. In conclusion, I think we can agree that this test is little more than a marketing tool, and that has potentially dangerous consequences for those that take them. Be aware and do not let a graph tell you who you are. If curiosity still has got the better of you and you just desperately want to take the test, then my advice to you is do not give any of your personal information out unless you want to receive marketing emails for the rest of your life. If you found this video edutaining, then please hit the like button and subscribe or leave a comment. It really helps out my channel in the YouTube matrix, and I really appreciate it. Thanks for dropping in, and I will see you in the next one.